Let's have a look at an exemplary voting smart contract that a hypothetical DAO can use. As you can see, we are defining the Solidity version at the beginning, and then we are defining the ballot contract. What we define within it is a voter object, which will be the person or the account that is taking part in the voting, and also a proposal, so basically a suggestion to take a certain action. What we have within the voter is the weight, which is basically the weight of their vote, which means that it might be 1, it might be 3, so worth 3 individual votes. We can also see if that person has already voted, which is defined in the variable voted, that is a Boolean, so it stores either true or false. And what we can actually look at is a function that is defined below. You can see that we have 2 functions, give right to vote and vote. First function is meant to allow someone to take part in the voting process. And as you can see, it takes a voter variable as an input, and this should be an address. We will talk about addresses more in the next module, but for now consider it as a way to identify someone and as the way to send someone, for example, a transaction. So what we have here is a require keyword. This entire piece of code is checking whether a certain condition is met. If it is, the code continues. And if it's not, an error is displayed and this message comes together with the error. So what we are checking is if the message sender, so someone who triggered a transaction, is actually the chairperson from the DAO committee. And if they are not, if this is someone else, basically this function will not do anything apart from returning the error that only the chairperson can perform this action. If it passes, we are checking if the specific voter doesn't have any voting power yet. So if his voting weight is equal to 0. If it is, then the voting weight of 1 is assigned to their voting power. The second function that I would like to look at is the vote function, which is taking the proposal as an input. And what we can have a look at is, for example, the require statement on line 41, which is checking whether the person voting actually has any voting power. So if the weight of their vote is 0, they won't be able to vote. We're also checking if they already took part in this particular voting. And by checking what is the value of the Boolean, so true or false, of voted, we can say, if the voted is yes, you won't be able to take part in this voting again. And how do I know that this is actually checking if the voting has been done? You can see that I have my statement checking if voted is true or false. And by adding the exclamation mark at the beginning of this code, what I'm doing is that basically I'm checking the opposite. So if the voter voted, I will return this error message. If they didn't vote, so if this is false, then we can continue with the code. I know it might be confusing, so if you have any questions about the exclamation mark and the conditional statement, make sure to ask your questions on the Discord channel. If we pass these 2 conditions, we can then say that the vote went through, so we're changing voted to true, and we are assigning the proposal to the vote itself. So we are saying that this person voted for this particular proposal. And then what we do is that we take this proposal and we increase the count of the votes for the proposal by the weight that was assigned to the specific person that just voted in the process.